I don't know how I'll follow that up, but I chose to toast instead of roast. One, because one of them is my dad, and secondly, because I still work for both of them. So I didn't think that would be too good of an idea to roast them. There's so many people to thank. Some of them are family at this point, but so many guys along the way stuck by them through all the years. Paul Palombi, Herman Peters, Brian, just way too many to name. As most of you know, I recently jumped ship with both my dad and Bob. A job that I started licking envelopes in the conference room for pizza, and he was right. I never left until I was full-time after college. It's been a crazy couple of years at the FMBA. There would be days where Bob and my dad would be singing and dancing and set up a putter in my dad's office and be hitting golf balls. And there were not so good times where I'd hear enough F-bombs to last me a month, which I think tonight might have topped that. Take the cake or the cheeseburger at this point. Most days Bob would come in the office. If he was there first, he'd have to sit outside because he couldn't get in because he didn't know how to get in because he couldn't figure out the code to get in. So he would read the paper 3 times over until he memorized everything. He would come in, say hello to everybody, take a seat and say, geez, I need a smoke. And he'd go outside in 30-degree temperature, and then my dad would have to talk business with him outside until he got too cold and he'd whip his cigarette into the street. And watching them work together for so many years, definitely a trip. We always joked about Bob living in the past and handwriting his articles, using a weekly planner to write down his meetings, and having the oldest style flip phone and the loudest, as you heard, available at Verizon. Meanwhile, my dad would have to be in 3 places at once, wrote his speeches on a cocktail napkin, and had a suitcase packed for him that he never knew what was in it because my mom always had to pack it for him. When my dad would be away on business, Bob was always there for me. He'd sneak in. He'd come in at 1:30 in the afternoon and let us sneak out early with what he called tropical hours, even in the dead of winter. So thanks for that, Bob. When he left the office every single day, from the moment I worked there, he would, out the door, he would yell, "Keep the faith." And we always thought it was another Browerism until I realized how much faith he had in my dad with the Sandy Ground project. His response tonight, when I asked him what he thought about the roast, he said, "I've been roasted for 20 years. Tonight I just get a free meal out of it." But even with all the ragging on him, he continues to just take it with a smile and stick by my dad through everything. As far as my dad goes, a lot of people would ask me, they'd see my last name when they walk in on the front desk and say, "How could you work for your dad? I could never do that." But for me, it's a blessing. With all the time he's put into the FMBA, I got to be there for mostly all of it. Not many people my age get to spend as much time with their dad as I do, so I consider myself lucky. Joke that with all these events, these work events that we've been to together with all the firemen and politicians, that I've mastered my fake laugh and my imitation of his speeches. I'm sure Billy, Bobby, and Megan would agree that even with all the time that they both put into the FMBA, they always put their family first. They've never missed a softball game, a dance recital, a graduation, or a birthday. And I'm pretty sure I've even seen Bob Brower standing out in right field smoking a cigarette at my games.
actually went behind the dugout.
Yeah. As Bob would say, and I still don't know what this means, but they're still like penguins out of a cage, building playgrounds and making the world a better place. And now they're just on beaches and parks instead of stuck on the steps of the State House. So I'm going to pass it on to Smitty now, but keep the faith.